Hi, folks. It's just gone 7:15 on the 14th of the 5th, 2020. This will be part 3 of The Worm Has Turned. And this one, no idea what it's going to be. Time will tell. They've all ended up longer. Partly because of waffling. Anyway, partly because of going off on a tangent in an area that I wasn't intending to go off on a tangent in. But that's part of it. It's part of being truthful and honest about the situation, I suppose. There you go. Oh dear, here we go again. That's why it's called A Normal Christian, the channel, because this is normal stuff that can go on. It's about speaking about an issue. And when you speak about an issue, sometimes you can go off a bit. So anyway, in this one, we'll talk about the journey, I suppose, of this. It's not going to be an in-depth journey. It's a journey from someone who understands it in very, very brief detail. Yeah. So, I mean, really, you look at the worm has turned, that when things started to turn away from being in favour of men to being in favour of women, you have to look at the Second World War, with the men conscripted into service. Factories were pretty much empty, and so women were called up to the factories. So women who never worked before, had always been a wife and a mother, never really worked. Suddenly they're working. They've got work colleagues who are also women, and they find that this is fantastic. We love this. We've got these people that we're speaking to, and we're doing all of these wonderful things that we just never did before. Having all these opportunities, we're getting to know each other in ways we never got to know each other before. We're actually earning a wage. We're being valued as part of our society. When the war ended, a lot of other things happened during the war. I mean, let's be honest. There were a lot of women who were working, who were then, whose husbands had died, or at least thought their husbands might have died. So when the foreign service people came over, or service men came over, there were a lot of, certainly younger women, who were getting off with the American servicemen, which was something that really would have been completely shunned upon before. But we're in a war. We're in a war. Everything's different. Everything changes. Values change. What's acceptable, what's allowed, changes. Because we're in a war. And that's the reality of the situation when you're in a war time. Same as now, we're in Rona time. We have this Rona, this thing that's attacking us. Things are changing now. What's counted as acceptable within society is changing. We now have a 2-meter rule or 6 feet rule. You cough into your elbow, all these sort of things are now understood as the accepted way at this moment in time. So things change. All the norms before have gone. But that's what happened during war. So, of course, after the war, husbands came home, the ones that could. And generally speaking, women were told, okay, thanks, you can go now. And they were expected to go back to being just. It was just from the way society viewed it. Just wives and mothers now. But of course, in most cases, they're still a wife, still a mother when they were working, but they were an employee as well, and the major contributor to the family. So, of course, that was a big thing for them, very important. And then all of a sudden, it's gone. And then you've got the husbands who have, in so many cases, have witnessed horrific things, witnessed friends blown up in front of them. they have to come back to life, where they're expected to go back to work, to be husband and father, to act like really nothing has happened. Chin up, get on with it. So, of course, the position for the man and the woman was just ridiculous. It was a situation that could never work, not in any way, shape, or form. Because the men wanted nothing to do with any of that, really. You imagine I mean, we speak about the servicemen now that were in Iraq. I mean, for goodness sake, what the people in Iraq have gone through compared to the people in the Second World War, there's no comparison. The soldiers in the Second World War went through far more. Far more. What they witnessed was incredibly awful in comparison to the soldiers who were in Iraq and Afghanistan. But of course, now there's so much attention about soldiers now. They're starting to recognise what soldiers can go through and the strains it can have on their mental state. In the Second World War, after that, they didn't recognise any of it. But it was all there. All of it. Yeah, what those men were going through would have been terrible. Yeah, horrific. And society wasn't willing to deal with it. They would just wanted to turn a blind eye to it and expect the men just to get on with it. Chin up. Go on. You're okay. Yeah, you saw some bad stuff, but the war's over now. You're back home. You've got your loving wife there, and there's your children. There you go. You've got your job to start on Monday, so you get on with that. So it had to give. And boy, it did. Of course, from that point in time, that's when we had the 50s. Of course, you had the war ended the second half of the 1940s. And within 4 years, 4 to 5 years, that's when you started getting rock and roll. That's when, so things had already gone wrong. In that 4 to 5 years, things had gone from, the quiet, thoughtful music of, the people that were artists now. Don't ask me who they were because I've got no idea. I wasn't born at the time, wasn't alive, and have no interest at all in that music. What I do know is that music, compared to the music since then, was very much the same as what had been sung for hundreds of years. It was very, very similar. It was the same sort of pace. Yeah, very, very slow sort of pace, based on musicals and that sort of stuff. But then we had rock and roll. Yeah. And of course, kids, they went mad for it. Absolutely mad. And we'd had a church that was talking about hell and damnation and judgment and sin. And of course, just after a war, when all those people died, no. That's not a time to be talking about hell and damnation because, to so many people, they've known people that have died during the war. Now you're telling these people that those people that died have gone to hell? You can see why people went away from the church. When the church is talking about hell and damnation and sin, of course, all these people in war situation, they're shooting people, trying to shoot people. So therefore, they're counted as a murderer, according to the Bible. Are they repentant of that? Probably not, because that's a job. So therefore, they're going to go to hell. And so those that have died in wartime are in hell. You're telling people that at a time when they're still grieving the loss of their husbands and their fathers. Bad idea. No wisdom there at all, is there? That's the time that you should really have been speaking about love, mercy, grace, forgiveness. Focusing mainly on that. Telling people that, war was necessary at the time because of what was going on. And, people are going to be, God's going to understand why people were doing what they were doing. But there wasn't an awful lot of that going on. It was just judgment and harshness from the church. Very, very grey, dark church at that time. I mean, now we've got the very fluffy and pink and, absolutely pointless church. Just as pointless as it was then. It's gone in the opposite direction. So, in the last video, I spoke about how society goes from one extreme to another. The church seems to be doing the same. It either goes from extreme, happy-clappy Christianity that is completely meaningless because it's happy-clappy rubbish, or it's judgmental and dark and moody. Yes, you've got dark and moody and judgmental versus happy-clappy giddy. Yeah. Somewhere in the middle, please. Yeah, both points are valid. Yeah, there is judgment, there is hell, there is sin, there is damnation, but there also is love, mercy, grace, forgiveness, forbearance. Yeah, so include the whole lot. Have a rounded message. But of course, because the church weren't doing that, then yeah, kids went away from the church, and even families went away from the church, and understandably so. So, yeah, I mean, again, talking about the church at the time of war, when you got people coming to you asking you about God, asking you, why did God allow all those people to die? What was it worth? For what exactly? What were those people dead for? Of course, if you've got people in church that aren't guided by the Holy Spirit leading the church, but then you're not likely to get answers that are going to be satisfactory to the people, are you? That's where, for all time, being led and guided by the Holy Spirit is what was always needed and what has always been lacking. It's lacking then, it's lacking now. So, yeah. We're not remarkable in the fact of the state of Christianity now. It's been like that for so many years. The 60s wouldn't have happened. 60s and 70s with the free love and the drugs and the LSD and all the rest would never have happened if the church was right. If the church had been functioning anywhere near right, that stuff wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had all the insane things that were going on there. It just wouldn't have happened. Vietnam would never have happened. Yeah, there's a lot that just wouldn't have happened. So, but all those things happened, and all those things have led to where we are now. Because, as I say, when you've got a situation where mother and father aren't quite as they were before, because mum wants to go to work and father doesn't want to be anywhere near anything. He just wants to be out in his shed or his allotment. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to be dealing with people. He doesn't want to be dealing with kids or his wife or his job. He's got all this darkness in his head that he needs to deal with. He wants to get away from everyone. So he wants to be out the house. The mother wants to be out the house. Neither of them really want to be dealing with kids or their situation that they face themselves in. So, of course, parenting went completely out the water there. There you go. Let's not bother with that. We've got other things we need to focus on. And so, kids went a bit balmy. And from that, we have the grandparents and the great-grandparents now of the children there. And so they did a bad job. So therefore their children would then have done a bad job as parents because they didn't learn from their parents how to be parents. And they have broken down so many of the barriers to dysfunctional behaviour within society. You've now got 60s and where people are wearing some incredibly short skirts where, women-wise, you might as well be wearing a belt. Some of the blinking mini skirts that was a fashion there those days was like wearing a belt. Utterly ridiculous. No wonder it led to a lot of free love ideas. Well, of course it would have been. Lust would have been sky high. Especially with the drugs that would have been out in those days. And again, kids loved taking them because there was some pretty psychedelic music in those days. Some of the music was quite weird. You had to be on drugs to actually understand it and to enjoy it. So, yeah. What I was saying, the 70s, that was just a continuation of that, certainly early 70s. You had those big festivals where people would go and camp and smoke weed, and they would boast about the free love that they had, and it was shortly after that. See, the 70s had that. The 80s, that's when homosexuality started coming right out into the open, and where you had pop groups and pop singers who were so openly gay, it was utterly ridiculous. You compare it to what it was beforehand. Oh, jeez. Yeah, 70s to 80s. Utterly ridiculous in the 80s. You had, I mean, certainly what I saw in the 80s, I was a young man in the 80s. You had Boy George with Culture Club. You had Freddie Mercury, Queen. And Freddie Mercury was camp during the 70s, but really pushed it a bit more in the 80s. Then you had Erasure, that group, where they were both gay. We had so many. It was crazy. George Michael, gay. So some of the biggest artists, gay. And it was just pushed. And it wasn't just that. TV programs, again. You had people like Julian Clary, Dal Winton, and people like that who were so incredibly sort of in your face gay. So camp, and so, I mean, we had in the UK a program years ago where there was this camp guy who was just very, very camp. He was in a TV, I forgot what the program was called now. There's one where they were in a clothes shop, and very, very dated now compared to then, obviously. But there was one bloke who was very camp, but in the program he was never really saying that he had a boyfriend or he was gay or anything like that. He was just very camp. But then, of course, in the 80s, he's like, no. I'm gay. I've had all these boyfriends, and I had 20 boyfriends in the space of a weekend, whatever. And it's like, boom, straight at you from nowhere. Well, of course, at that point in the 80s, homosexuality was still illegal. Of course, after that sudden massive push of homosexuality is okay, see, pop groups, TV programs, they're all lovely people, but they're gay. They produce good music, even though they're gay. They're good TV presenters, even though they're gay. So therefore, it's a massive push to make homosexuality to be acceptable and to be counted as legal. Which, again, no argument there. No argument at all there. Because if people choose to live that if people choose to live their life that way. Sorry about that. Anyway, if people choose to live their life that way, that's up to them. Completely and utterly. If they choose to do that, then that's their choice. Legally speaking, the law shouldn't have anything to do with it. It's wrong for the law to be sticking their nose into what people do in their own homes, as long as it's not harmful to somebody. So legally speaking, okay. But that was the 80s. So then, in the 90s, became the push to make it legal, to make it so not just legal, but to make it so gay people could get married the same as straight people. Right, okay, so gay people could adopt. So, excuse me, come on. You're starting to really push it now. In marriage, again, what's the purpose of marriage? The purpose of marriage really is to have a family. But you can't do that. In your relationship, as your relationship is, sexually speaking, there is no way, shape, or form that naturally you could have children. So therefore, why you get married? You want to spend the rest of your life together? Fine, do that. We already have had a law situation that if you were living together for more than 2 years, you were counted as married. So you counted as having the same rights as someone who is married. That's all the gay people needed, to have the same rights. Because then the problem they had was that if they were a gay couple and they lived together for 30 years and one of them died, then the estate of that person who died didn't go to the partner. It went to either the partner's family or to the government. The government took it because that relationship wasn't recognised as an acceptable relationship. But again, they pushed for more. And it wasn't necessarily the gay people, it's the agenda to twist society. That's what pushed for more. And then, that happened in the 90s. But then in the zeros, it was... I can't really note anything of any particular in the zeros that really changed. It's just more of that. And you had the gay pride, and gay pride is something that has always made no sense to me. We don't have straight pride. Again, it's just a case, again, of shoving this into people's faces. So, excuse me, what you do in your own home is your business. Right? I mean, I don't really approve of a straight couple if they're sort of saying, "Look, I'm straight, I have sex with this person," and when they're snogging them in public, touching them up in public, it's like, excuse me, no. You do that in your bedroom, not here. It's inappropriate here, it's wrong. Show each other affection, absolutely, but do it in the right place. Do it in the right way publicly because it's no one else's business. Why are you trying to tell other people? Why are you making sure that everyone knows your business? Who cares? Nah, to me, it's... I'm one of these people that it's like, privately, you love the person you're with as much as you want. It's in your private home, that's cool. In public, it's like, no, it's inappropriate. There was a young lady who did a video the other day. Her father and uncle do videos, the Hodge twins. And so this is young lady, Dana, did a video about open relationships. And she was going, ugh, disgusting. How can people do that? She's doing a video in an incredibly low-cut top that's showing her cleavage. So, excuse me, you're showing that to the world, and you're saying open relationships are sort of wrong. But you're basically being sexual with every single person who watches your video. Why? Keep that for that person that you love and the person that you're supposed to be with. You belong to them, they belong to you. So therefore, that belongs to them. Doesn't belong to the rest of the world who see your videos, okay? It shouldn't belong to them. Ugh. Again, that's the silliness of society, and that's the thing that's come out. I mean, certainly between 2010 and 2020, it's gone mad. It's gone mad. It really has. It went to a whole new blinking level. Whereas, now we're in these sort of, I think it's about 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago now, you started having that situation where, certainly in Canada, they were talking about if someone wants to be called them or they and you don't, you can go to prison for that. Well, that's just took things to a whole new level, hasn't it? Really, whole new level of freaky. That's what. Let's push that right up there, isn't it? So great. We don't need that, do we? So that really is the way it's gone. And now as I say, we're in a situation where people want to record everything. They want to share everything. They want to judge everyone. There are certain people they see that their responsibility in life is to judge everyone. How on earth do you see that as your responsibility in life? You're just trolling through Instagram or Facebook and people's Facebook accounts and Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts trying to find something that they've done or said that's wrong. So you can tear them to pieces. That if they ever get famous, ever get big, you can tear them down. What lovely people. Truly beautiful individuals, aren't they? Yeah. That's what we've got now. We've got these beautiful individuals that say these most stupid bloody things, and these other individuals that are there just to attack. They want to attack people. And then everyone shares their life, and how do you know this about me? We've been sharing it everywhere. Stop sharing all the information. Stop putting your life online and expecting everyone to love it. If someone doesn't love it, you go and kill yourself because, you didn't get enough likes. Stop with the wanting likes, for goodness sake. Anyone who's heard any of my videos knows I don't do them for likes. If I did them for likes, I would have packed up ages ago because I didn't get likes. I don't cover the subjects that people want to cover. I don't do that. I don't talk about the things that people want to talk about. I could talk about all this stuff and how, a woman isn't really a woman. A woman's only a woman if she thinks she's a woman. If she thinks she's a they, then she's a they. That gender has nothing to do with it. Genetics has nothing to do with it. The other thing has nothing to do with it. Whatever it is. Whatever. There's loads of things that you could be talking about if you want to earn money that gets you lots of likes and gets you lots of views and earns you tons of quiddy widdies if that's what you want. But these aren't to do that. I try and do videos to get people talking, to get people talking about an issue. And the worm has turned is a good thing for people to talk about, discuss and say, well, okay, this is the way society is. Okay, it's interesting. How has it got that way? And okay. So there were these events happening then, and so it's interesting how that gets to that, that gets to that, that gets to that. How can we do this in other parts of life? Examine. Now, I said in, I think it was episode or part 1, that the problem is they don't examine. They don't want to look at the evidence. Well, part 3 really is looking at the evidence. Saying the worm has turned. Why? Why did it turn? How did it turn? How did it get to where we are now? Well, the way it did, it broke down barriers. I say barriers just got broken down bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, to the point where we're now in a society where, there's no such thing as gender anymore. That's what people are trying to argue, which is crazy. The level of stupid arguments is utterly and totally ridiculous. So, best not to get involved with them. You take care, folks. That'll do for now. There's part 3 done. So you take care. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. Hopefully not too soon now. I've got things to do. You take care. God bless. Bye-bye.